Okay, welcome to another prepared flight simulator video. And this video is going to be another fly around of a particular part of the world. This time we're going to fly around the islands of Hawaii. This was suggested by somebody who saw one of my other fly around videos. So let's just jump into the air and have a look at Hawaii. Taking off from Honolulu International, once again with the F-22 Raptor, and that's just for the sake of speed so that we can cover a lot of ground in relatively short order. So let's pitch up, raise the landing gear. Let me look outside just to make sure that's going up. It is. And we will back off the throttle here a bit so that we don't overstress this highly capable vessel. I used to fly around Hawaii a little bit in, I don't know what version of Microsoft Flight Simulator it was, but it would have had to have been 2002, 2004, or one of those versions, Century of Flight, whichever one that was. I think it was FS9. It was before I was playing with Flight Sim 10. Let me see if I can get rid of this menu bar real quick. And for some silly reason, you have to click it twice. Okay, now that we've got things under control, let's bank in. And one thing I've noticed about Hawaii is the elevation change is quite dramatic. The way the hillsides just climb drastically, and they're still populated. The cliffs aren't totally sheer cliffs in all cases, but but the elevation can just climb quickly, and it's a pretty cool place to fly around. It's very it's large enough that you get a lot of mountains to look at. Whereas some of the smaller islands, it's kind of hard to fly around them because you fly from one side to the other so fast that you don't really have anything to look at. But here, as we fly around, Hawaii, we can see, there's still a lot to look at without getting just out into the bland ocean. One thing I don't know, and I don't have the GPS to help me, is, to fly from one island to another would be pretty cool because they are close enough together that you could fly easily, from one island to another and not have, hundreds of miles of ocean to cross. So let's bring up the throttle a bit. Let's speed things up. And if I see one of the other islands out in the distance, I'll actually fly to it. But otherwise, we're just going to get to the other side of the island and then turn back in and fly back over it. There's another airport down there directly below me. Let's recenter the camera. Alright, let's turn around and fly back over the island. Let's try to stay below the clouds so that we don't have a bunch of clouds ruining the view. If I didn't mention it at the beginning, I took off from Honolulu International, which I believe Honolulu is the capital of Hawaii, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a long time since I was in 7th grade, so memorizing all the capitals isn't something that I've retained over the years. This will be a nice flight down the island. But yeah, you can see, it's got some size to it. It's not huge, but it's got some size. Speed things up a little bit. Let's fly back over to the to the main part. Perhaps we'll go back over top the airport one more time. Hawaii's a pretty good place to fly just a small Cessna, in my opinion. You know, take your time and just fly at 100 knots or 120 knots, something like that, and get up into the mountains and, you know, take off from one airport, fly to the other side of the mountains and land on one of the other airports. It's pretty fun to do that. I'm guessing that's one of the runways over there that I took off from. Wasn't really paying too close of attention, but it would have had to have been those. And it looks like here would be whatever, you know, sort of the main part of this island. The metropolis part of this island is here. I don't know what any of these buildings are. Watch my airspeed. I'm getting up to the point where I would just about be overspeeding. A little bit of turbulence. I must have some kind of weather enabled that's kind of kicking the craft around a little bit. Alright, so that's a good fly over Honolulu. Let's see if we can locate one of the other islands. I don't know which direction I would have to go to find them, but I have flown from one island to another just in probably the Cessna Caravan. Again, I really wish this Raptor just had the ability to bring up a regular GPS so that I could, you know, know my way around a little bit easier, because I just cannot figure out these instruments on this thing. Let me go to level flight for a moment and just pan the camera a bit. Let's see. Okay, there we go, over there to the right. Let's fly over there. So we'll go from one island to another. But you can see the islands are close enough that you could easily do just a regular flight, you know, using a Cessna or something, and it would just be, I don't know, 10 minutes maybe from one island to the other. And speed things up all the way until we get a warning. And there's our warning, slow down. Do a Mach 1.16. Can see another island off to more to the south over there, but we're gonna go here first. You can see, if you look carefully, just how much of an elevation change there is from sea level to that top of that mountain over there. So let's fly to the top of that at least. And then perhaps, if we still have time, we'll bank over to the south and fly down to that island as well, but we'll probably not have time for that. Just want to have these be 8 to 10 minutes. Some quick fly arounds. Doesn't look like there's anything happening here, population-wise. There's no, I don't see any towns or villages or anything. Yeah, a little bit over there to the right. A little bit of a village. But yeah, it's pretty interesting to me, at least, just how quickly these mountains climb up out of the ocean. Go from sea level to several thousand feet in just a few miles. And off to the right, I can see another really tall mountain. But it's also interesting because a lot of this looks like it's, you know, perfectly livable terrain. It's so flat. It's kind of wedge-shaped how it comes up out of the ocean, as opposed to, you know, a lot of the other mountains that you see where they're so spiky that you couldn't really live in them, at least not, you couldn't farm in them really. But if this terrain is accurate, you can just see how smooth the elevation is. Pretty cool. I wonder if I would have bad dreams living in Hawaii. I tend to have certain, it's not really nightmares, but just dreams of tornadoes and other types of things, depending on, I hate when the camera resets to the middle like that. But when I'm from Illinois originally, and I used to have a lot of dreams about tornadoes, and I still do, even though I moved out of that state. But I wouldn't call them nightmares because they don't scare me. They're actually more fascinating than anything. But I've also noticed that since moving to Florida, I have recurring dreams about tsunamis and tidal waves and things like that, even though I don't think that would ever happen here. It's not an area where we, as far as I know, that they've ever really experienced stuff like that. But I wonder if I lived in Hawaii, what types of new dreams I would have. Maybe I'd start having nightmares or bad dreams about volcanoes or something, I don't know. So another populated area down there below us on this island, and I don't know what the different islands are. Having left the first one and then gone over to the second, now we're kind of coming across the third island, and I don't know which island is which. I've got to work on that reset. That's really irritating me. Again, I use the hat switch to pan the camera around left to right, and then I've got one button that is supposed to recenter, back off the throttle, it's supposed to recenter the view forward, but as often as not when I hit it, it recenters the view straight down at the seat. It's really annoying. Another really flat area down here. Small airport over there. I don't think we're going to bother trying to land this time. We're just going to fly around a little bit. And we're actually coming up to the end of this fly around of Hawaii, but gives you a really good idea, what this little island paradise in the middle of the ocean looks like. Because if the whole time, if you happen to be looking out at the horizon, you can see, that just a couple miles in any direction and it's just all ocean, as far as the eye can see. I'm not actually sure what the closest islands are to Hawaii, other than Hawaii itself, how significant they are. Because there's a lot of islands in the ocean, but they're really small places. There's these little atolls, I think they're called, and there's not enough land there to live off of. You couldn't survive just by living on those little patches of dirt that are popping up out of the ocean. Like this one here, for example, this can't be more than, I don't even know, half mile wide or something, 3/4 of a mile in length. There's, undoubtedly not enough there to be able to sustain life. I would imagine. Not enough fresh water, not enough farming. So you probably have to import to survive. And it doesn't look like there's any population here anyway. So, okay, well, that is it for the fly around of Hawaii. I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly did. I think I'll actually spend a little bit more time here in the Cessna after I finish this video. Again, if you like the video, like the video. If you dislike the video, dislike the video. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do consider subscribing, especially if you're interested in Orbiter Spaceflight Simulator, because that is by far most of what I post on my channel are spaceflight videos. And I've only just recently kind of been playing around with this prepared flight sim, although I will say once again, this is kind of where I got started, was with flight sims. All the way back when I was about 8 years old, we had a small, really generic flight sim for the Atari 130XE that we had. And then over the years, I kind of picked up any type of flying program I could find until I got into the flight sims. You know, when computers finally got to the point where it was practical to you know, have sort of some symbolism of reality in your flight sim, because the early days it was really bad. You know, they looked pretty terrible. But I will see you in the next video.